Welcome to the Smriti Show Season 2. Today we have with us a very distinguished guest, a retired IAS officer from the 1978 UP cadre, former Chief Secretary in the Government of Uttar Pradesh, a prolific writer, distinguished orator, best-selling author of his times, Mr. Alok Ranjan. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. You have led an illustrious life, you know. You have done everything in such a huge tenure. Tell us about your childhood days. Not everyone knows about, how was your childhood? Did you dream of becoming an IAS officer? Did you dream of becoming an author someday? How was Alok Ranjan as a child?
Well, okay, that's very interesting. I can share with you that my childhood was spent my father was a forest officer.
Okay.
So a lot of that was spent in beautiful forests and FRI, Forest Institute, Dehradun, where I spent the best part of my childhood. And I was educated in St. Joseph's, Dehradun and Lamatne, Lucknow.
Wow.
So right from a very early stage in my life, I was fascinated by books, That's the first thing I like to share about myself. I had a fascination, right? If I remember correctly, right from class 3 onwards, I was into reading almost 2 to 3 hours daily.
Wow.
And it started with Enid Blyton,
Enid Blyton is the childhood favorite of almost everyone who's been to convents and Lamart.
Absolutely. And then moved on to Agatha Christie and moved on to Conan Doyle and then Somerset Maugham and so on and so forth. So I was a voracious reader all through. And right from that time itself, I had this thing in my mind that someday I would write something. I wanted to write something. And I do recollect, since you asked me, when I was in class 7, I penned down a novel.
Okay.
Of course, it was a childish novel that way, I think, because it was based on what I had read, reading Agatha Christie, reading all these mystery books and all that. On that basis, I had, fashioned out a novel.
So it was a thriller or?
Yeah, it was a kind of a mystery thriller.
Novel,
but somehow then it never got to the publication stage. I never could muster the courage to take it to the publisher or something. And finally, I thought it was not good enough.
I think you can do it now. Now any publisher would love to publish that.
It's not available anymore. And it got destroyed in the process. But then this was what happened. But then yes, during my service, and I did pen down a couple of books, and then after retirement, I've been busy writing. But of course, the other part of the career is professional part, which you said is whether I was always interested in joining the Indian Administrative Services. Well, it was like this, that my father, he was in Indian Forest Service. It was his dream, so to say.
He wanted to see you as an IAS officer.
He wanted to see me as an IAS officer, as a collector and district magistrate and various other positions. He wanted to that, and he used to always motivate us, the whole family, that no, this is a very good career. I know you'll do a lot in your life if you join this career. So all that was there. So that was the back of my mind. And it so happened that I went to Delhi University after Lamatne. I went to St. Stephen's College. I did my BA Honours in Economics from there. Till that point of time, it was in my mind that I will write the IAS examination. But things happened in a very interesting fashion. When I was in my final year of BA Honours Economics, there was a craze at that time itself it had started for IIMs.
Yeah, IIM was a huge thing.
Yeah, IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Calcutta had come. Only 2 IIMs. And there was a huge craze in Delhi, at least at that time. Everybody, any top student or any top person was, wanting to write the IIM examination. So I also, joined the bandwagon. And I wrote the exam for the IIM Ahmedabad. And was fortunate enough to get selected.
Wow.
So I got selected, and then the issue came up, Then the issue came up because my father wasn't very keen. He didn't want me to go to Ahmedabad.
Especially parents in UP, Bihar in those times wanted their children to become like IAS officer, followed by doctor, engineer, and then when the IIM things came up, then it became the most sort of institute.
So he thought that if I opt for IIM Ahmedabad, then I'll go into a corporate career. And which is what he was not very keen on. So he kind of, did congratulate me on getting selected, but also said that no, it might be better for you to, consider whether you want to join or not, or you want to continue and do your masters on something and write the IAS examination. At that time, I remember I kind of, I rebelled to that. Why? I'm getting into IIM Ahmedabad and I'm not joining.
Like
and everybody, it's such a prestigious thing. Everybody is saying, so few people have got selected, even from my batch in St. Stephen's and everything. Hardly a few people, 4 or 5 people had got selected. So I said, there's a huge thing, and I finally decided to join.
Okay.
So when I joined IIM, but as if to have it, this is part of your, thinking or sensibilities, or however you say, it was there in my mind always. This thing about the IAS was somewhere in the back of my mind. And my thinking, because of my reading and all also, had been conditioned differently.
That way.
So, while I was doing my management in IIM Ahmedabad, I do recollect that I was, I did not feel very, kind of satisfied, not into it kind of thing. Because somehow, I wanted to do something different in life.
Right.
That was there at the back of my mind. And, my readings also at that time had, I was reading more of philosophy, I was reading more of sociology, history, literature, of course, all these things.
Yeah.
So, my mind was, that way, it was built that way. So then things like marketing and finance and all, I used to think that no, there is something more than that I want to do.
You felt you were not cut out for the marketing
I want
kind
to do
of
something
profile.
more than that maybe.
Right.
So anyway, that went on 2 years. I did my...
You completed your course.
my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. And as there's a campus placement, I got a campus placement and a good marketing assignment in a good company in... It was Hawkins Pressure Cookers.
Oh wow! Hawkins was the household name in every home in India at that point of time.
So that was in Mumbai. So I got selected and I joined out there. But I worked for about 6 months only.
Okay.
And after 6 months, then I took a call.
You realized it was not meant
I thought,
for you.
no, this is not what I want to do. And I realized that I want to do something which is, in my mind, I felt directly relevant to society and the problems of the society.
I think probably you wanted to help the society, the community,
and
bring a change.
Yeah, because even corporate sector people help the society, or even those who create wealth help the society.
Right.
But what I wanted to do was to directly,
get involved
touch
in
lives of the people and get involved. And and that I thought IAS would give me that opportunity.
Right.
So I took a bold decision at that time. And that bold decision was to resign my job.
Leave the 6-figure salary job.
Yeah, and the huge salary I was getting. I resigned that job and many people discouraged me.
That requires a lot of courage. Not everyone can refuse, say no to money and again go back to the grind of hard work. Because cracking IAS is again not
it's a very difficult examination.
Most difficult.
You have to start from scratch absolutely and work hard.
Correct. They say it's easier getting admission in universities abroad rather than cracking the IAS services or the IIMs and IITs.
Correct.
Now.
IAS also 0.12% is perhaps the people who succeed in the examination.
True.
Or even less than that. So then, but I took a call that I'll take a chance, and I decided that if you have to take this examination, then it has to be a full effort, single-minded focus. And that is why I resigned the job, took up a small room in Defense Colony, Delhi, and then I prepared there for about 7-8 months total to full-scale preparation for the IAS. I wrote the examination. And was fortunate enough that in my very first attempt I did get selected.
Wow.
And also got the 4th rank in India. So when I did that, I was allotted to my home state, which is Uttar Pradesh.
Commendable.
That goes by merit, actually. So they gave me my home state, Uttar Pradesh. So after that, I served 38 years, 5 years in Government of India, balanced in Uttar Pradesh. Retired in 2016 as Chief Secretary. So that's how the journey is.
Beautiful. I mean, at every phase you have showed courage, grit, determination and extreme hard work, because neither the IIM exam would have been easy nor the IAS exam, as we all know, is very difficult. So when you qualified the exam as a young officer who's all ready to, I assume there's a training that goes in before you take charge. So what was the feeling during the training period, and then when you joined the...
I will share with you that was perhaps some of the happiest moments.
Oh wow.
Because, the ambition of being selected in the IAS had been achieved.
Right.
And once you went to Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration at Mussoorie, then it's a very, you're learning a lot. Things are being taught and everything, but mixing with people around, other people have been selected. But all the same, there was a feeling of satisfaction inside. That, okay, I've achieved something. At the same time, one knew that a new journey had started. And so one was thinking of what one can do for the state, or what can you do for the country. Many thoughts used to come to the mind. We used to discuss amongst friends and all that. So it's a very exciting kind of a period and a very enjoyable period. One of the best periods of my life, I should say, was what I spent in the academy. And then, of course, there was some training period in between in the state. And after 2 years, then one got posted to Uttar Pradesh cadre.
Nice. So you've given 38 years of your life to the government. You've seen so many challenges. You have served at various positions. You have been the district magistrate for a bunch of places. So what was the most challenging assignment during this tenure, and what was the most satisfactory part that you felt performing your services?
I'll just share with you to begin with some of the very interesting anecdote to begin with.
Nice, huh?
That when I joined in SDM, I had that feeling, everybody had that being an IAS officer and everything. So a lot of grandeur attached to the post and whatnot.
Correct.
Then I joined Kanpur district, which was an undivided Kanpur district at that time. And now it is in 2 districts, rural and Kanpur city. And I was immediately allotted to a subdivision called Derapur, and that's where I started my career. And I still recollect, it was 72 kilometers from Kanpur city. And it was a subdivision which had no electricity and no running water. So that was my first exposure as an IAS officer.
So the whole luxury and the grandeur.
It all disappeared in one day. There's a dilapidated PWD Dak Bangla in which there was a small room in which I was allotted. And my PN used to get water for me from the nearest well, and there'd be a lantern in the night. So this was my starting in the service. But then right from that moment itself, there was a lot of satisfying moments that when I realized that how much poverty is there and how much you can go to the villages and help people tour extensively, actually solve the grievances of the people. So more than anything great, it was this part of the service which I really liked, was actually so many people come to you with so much of faith.
True.
Citizens. They expect that you are in a position of authority, especially as a DM or as a chief secretary or as a secretary of department. They think you can solve any kind of problems for them.
You are the God for them. They look up to you as that God has come in a car and they are going to rescue
They have
us
so much
from
of expectations. And then if you are sensitive to what they are saying, if you have empathy towards them, if you have a feeling of compassion, and you genuinely want to solve their problems and try and do it and solve it also, it gives a great sense of satisfaction. This was one thing throughout my service which I really enjoyed, to really, feeling that bring a smile to the face of a person who is facing trouble or having some kind of issues in life. So that was something which I wanted to do all my life, and that's why I made myself very accessible, open and transparent. I never kept a barrier between myself and the public. There was no PN or no PA or somebody stopping people from meeting me.
People could just walk up to your office.
Even as chief secretary, in the highest position in the state, I kept 1 hour for meeting people, 3:30 to 4:30. And at that time there was no pass system, nothing. Anybody could come and he could meet me with a grievance, and I would resolve it and ring up or pass orders or whatever it is. So that is the thing which gave me maximum satisfaction. But that apart, since you asked me, the most challenging post, of course, one is district magistrate, and the other, of course, the post of chief secretary of the state. I was district magistrate in 5 districts, so a lot of exciting assignments are there because you are controlling almost everything there. Law and order, development, revenue matters, coordination amongst all departments. You are virtually the leader of the district, and people expect a lot from you.
Very true.
People come to you with that kind of faith. And similarly, when you become the chief secretary of a state like Uttar Pradesh, when the population of 220 million.
Almost like a country.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
It is a country in itself.
If it was to be a country, it would be the 5th largest country in the world in terms of population. So, and there's so much of political activity, so many caste and communal issues.
And religion,
And, so UP is not an easy state to navigate. So it was very exciting, the entire 2.5 years or so when I was chief secretary. And in particular, some projects like Lucknow-Agra Expressway, Lucknow Metro, or the Dial 100. These are projects were initiated and implemented during that period. So that gave me a lot of satisfaction.
And you're seeing the fruits of it now, like people are benefiting these services in such a good way. And I think you're one of those officers who has seen the real India, the rural India, and you understand, and I think that is what reflects in your writing as well. So coming to your writing career, as an IAS officer, did you get chance to write and read, or post-retirement you decided that now I should become an author and pen down my thoughts?
Actually, as I said, I was always a voracious reader. So I never gave up my reading habit, though while in service, of course, the time available for reading was less. But I used to somehow steal whatever time is possible for that. While sitting in the car going to the office, I would read the newspapers, the magazines, books. While using my air trips, reading heavily in that, or going by train somewhere, or by car somewhere. I used to read all these opportunities I took to keep up my reading and keep abreast with my reading. But of course, after retirement, I've got much more time to read and extensively. But I did write 2 books while I was in the service.
Oh wow! Tell us about those books.
I was district magistrate in 5 districts. Ghazipur, Banda, Ghaziabad, Agra, and Allahabad. So on the basis of that, I wrote a book on district magistrate's job and what is required of that job. What are the challenges and opportunities? And I called it the collector today. Collector is what used for the DM. So I called it the collector today. So in today's environment, what the collector is supposed to do and what he should do.
And what is expected, I think, out of him by
how he can satisfy the people. On that basis, I wrote, that was my first book. And it was released here in Lucknow by the Honorable Governor.
Wow.
And then thereafter, when I was District Magistrate of Agra, I undertook a unique experiment, which was total literacy. I thought I'll make Agra a totally literate kind of a district.
Wow.
And there were 5.5 lakh adults between the age of 15 and 45 who were not literate. And I took up a campaign within 1 year to make them literate by using volunteers, young boys and girls from villages and towns who were class 12 pass outs. I used them as volunteers, didn't pay them anything, just gave them respect, gave them recognition. And they performed. I built up the environment for that, used street theatre, used a lot of local artists, used a lot of local material, developed books out there on local issues, and using NCRT and SCRT material also. And so after that, within 1 year, we were able to achieve that.
Wow.
Agra was declared a totally literate district by Government of India through an evaluation. So once that was done, that was a unique experience of mine. The second book I penned down on this.
Okay, how to make adults literate.
It was called Towards Adult Literacy in India, which I talked about how to make adults literate, and particularly I spoke about the Agra literacy.
Does it also talk about like lifelong learning? Which we don't do like after formal education.
Continuous learning.
We don't indulge
I said
in
that, otherwise, they'll relapse into illiteracy.
True.
If the lifelong learning is not there. So once you make them literate, you have to somehow keep assisting them so that they keep reading or writing. And then they develop. So I've talked about continuing education also in that, as a part of that book. So these are 2 books which I wrote during my service. And of course, a few articles I penned down for Economic Times and all these newspapers here and there. But after retirement, of course, I got into it, in a big way. And after that, 2 books have come out now after retirement. One is Making a Difference, IAS as a Career. That is Penguin has released it. And second has just been released, Ethics for Civil Services.
Wow.
So these are 2 books which have just come out. And of course, I'm extensively writing columns. I'm writing 4 articles a month for newspapers. So that's quite a lot of writing to do.
Voracious reader and an avid writer, I would say.
Wherever I get a chance to speak or something, I do that.
And I think it's very important you are doing that, because youth needs that. They need to know. A lot of people still have a lot of myths attached to the career of an IAS officer, or the glitz and glam attached, plus the risks and the responsibilities attached to it. So I'm sure these books would give quite an insight into the service.
Correct. That's what I've written it for, actually, basically to motivate the youth and also give them a real picture of what is possible and what can be done.
Right.
And I hope some people will be inspired by that. That's what I hope so. And then of course I love teaching also.
Okay.
So I have been taking classes regularly in Jaipur Institute of Management and IIM Lucknow also on leadership, on public policy issues and all these issues. So this is how I've been keeping myself busy after
and
retirement.
Engaged even after
as much of academic work as possible. Yes.
India is a huge country with a heterogeneous population, and it's very difficult to establish something. When you have a homogeneous population, it's easy to make one rule, one culture, one religion. But with our kind of culture, it's very difficult to do things. And corruption is something that is plaguing our country since time immemorial. You have been one of those honest officers who's been known for, your righteousness, your hard work, your discipline, everything. So I want to know, how can an IAS officer help in or pitch in or control corruption through his or her jurisdiction?
Yeah, actually, an excellent question you asked. I also thought about this quite often because, as you said rightly, corruption is a major issue and is becoming increasingly so.
Right.
Somehow I feel the level of corruption is also going up over time.
True.
And the reason for that possibly I feel is also the increase in the materialism in the society as such.
Right.
And everybody is wanting more and more of material goods.
Correct.
They're not contented or satisfied with what they have. And this is since IAS officers and also they also come from the society only. So they're also influenced by the same thing.
Right.
They want more and more for their family or for the children and all this. And this may be one thing which is, leading to corruption. So one has to see how this has to be tackled. By and large, I feel IAS officer because he is at the top of the hierarchy.
Right.
He is a leader. So he has to set an example. So if he sets an example by being honest, and also insisting on honesty, developing systems, things to be done in an honest manner, then this will percolate downwards into other bureaucrats also, others who are working in the other departments also. So he has the leadership role like he has in other things. In integrity and honesty also, he has to show the way. So that is why I think this is very important for as far as the IAS officers are concerned.
You have to lead by example.
Yeah, you have to lead by example. Of course, the political person is above him, and there are many questions are always asked about the politicians, wanting,
Is it so difficult to say no to politicians?
Well, it may be at times, but by and large, a politician is somebody who understands people very well.
Right.
He understands the pulse of the people, and he can understand you also.
Correct.
And that is my experience, is that if you are willing to bend down, then the politician will use you.
Right.
But if you are not willing to bend down, and if you are forthright in what you are saying, there is no need to be rude or anything. You have to be courteous, you have to be polite, you have to be well-mannered, everything. Give the politician a lot of respect.
Right.
He deserves it. He is an elected person, and it's a people's representative. Therefore, you have to give him that respect. But all said and done, you have to uphold the rule of law and the constitution, and see that you don't need to do anything wrong or corrupt or anything just to please somebody.
Right.
And that if you decide not to do it, I for one feel that no politician will force you to do it. And then a politician doesn't interfere in too many things also.
Right.
About 80% of the work that an IAS officer does, he is doing it on his own.
Correct.
He is free to do it. There is no politician questioning him on why he is doing it or why he is not doing it.
Right.
So therefore, the IAS officer himself is responsible for his integrity and his honesty, I should say so. And he should set an example for that. That is very, very important. And if he does that, I'm sure it will lead to better citizen-centric services being delivered, better quality of life for the people. All this can happen, and much more satisfaction to him.
Right.
And that is why the Ethics of Civil Services book
is very important, and I think should be read by everyone, not just people who are...
importance of ethics which is there in civil services. And many people say that it is because of low salary that people turn towards corruption. Some people point out that in Singapore, the civil servants are paid the highest.
Yeah.
And that may be true. When you compare with the top 5 positions in private sector, the salary of an IAS officer is much less than that of a private sector CEO or something corporate.
True.
But all said and done, I don't think that's the only reason. Corruption or integrity or ethics is something which comes from inside you. It's a matter of your value system. It's not a question of how much salary you're getting or not getting.
Correct.
You can get any amount of money and still be corrupt.
Still be corrupt. I mean, you can be the richest person on earth and still have
and
that.
Still want more and more.
More and more.
It's a question of your own value system.
So how difficult or easy was it to, maintain work-life balance with such a demanding job profile, plus so many things that you were doing?
Yeah,
and,
that's true. That's true. Work-life balance, is always, like in any job, I think, it becomes difficult to manage. Even in corporate sector, it is difficult to manage. So also in a job like the IAS. But you have to make an effort to find time for yourself, to find time for your, exercises or with the family or anything. You have to find time for that. But maybe one is not able to give as much time as one would like to give. That is true. That there is no denying that. There is no denying that. And at the end of the day, sometimes you feel, yes, I could have given more time.
More time to things.
Yes.
So what is your message to, people, mid-age people who are busy in work or who are workaholics? What should
I think they should give more time to the families also. It is very essential. It is a very essential part of life. Work is all consuming. And if you are passionate for work, it kind of consumes you a lot. But still, make an effort. Make an effort to find time for that, yes.
And youth look up to you, like, they are, the IAS administrative services is still the most sought after position in our country, and it will always be, given the perks and benefits, the challenges, the responsibilities, the social aspect that it has. What is your message to people? Like, a lot of people, as you said, that your father wanted you to become an IAS officer, but still you did your thing. आपने एक्सपेरिमेंट किया कि मैं मैनेजमेंट करना चाहता हूँ, मैनेजमेंट भी किया, जॉब भी किया, सब करके यू डिसाइडेड कि नहीं, दिस इज नॉट द राइट फिट, आई वांट टू गो इनटू द administrative services. Similarly, a lot of youth get inspired by their parents, or they just do it because their parents want it, and then 3-4 years की struggle के बाद, when they are not able to crack exams, they think कि चलो अब कुछ और करते हैं, तब तक बहुत time भी निकल जाता है. So what is your message to the youth who's planning to do it, or the parents who are trying to push their children into the administrative services? What is the way, or what should be the approach by the parents as well as the students who want to take up administrative services?
You see, actually, my advice to any student who's now on the threshold of a career is to follow his calling. He must try and understand what his calling is, what his inner potential is, what his inner liking is. And he should always go for that career for which he finds that he is most suited, or which he enjoys doing. Not go just because his parents are telling him, or friends are telling, or the societal pressure is there. That should not be the only reason. Similarly, for the administrative services, I feel you should go for IAS if you really want to be in public life. If you want to do public service, it gives you satisfaction. If you want to solve the problems of the people, it gives you a kind of thrill doing that.
Right.
If you have that kind of motivation in life, then you must go, because many people, I'll share with you, and I've written that in my book also, that the right kind of motivation is this only, to join the IAS. The wrong kind of motivation sometimes is people go for the pomp and show, the glamour. You know, the police guard or the red beacon light, or people saluting you, or
lavish bungalows,
lavish bungalow, or bowing down before you, and all that. You know, you feel the status you get in society, and power that you wield.
Correct.
Some people just go by that. No, but that should not be the only reason. That is not the right kind of motivation. Power, yes, you do get power, but you should wield it to benefit the people. For the benefit of the people, not for any personal aggrandizement. So that, I think, that motivation is very important, is my message to anybody. And if somebody doesn't feel it that way, then there are so many other careers. So many other careers where he can go, and he can do a great job. You know that. And also you should find out whether he is happy working with people.
Very true.
If he is happy working with people and comfortable with people, then public life is important.
You have to be a people's person.
Yeah, then you can be a good IAS officer, effective IAS officer. But if you are the type who's happier, I've seen many people in the IAS also, I've seen, who were not really cut out for the IAS. And they were brilliant students. They could have been outstanding academicians.
Right.
So they loved more working with books or paper and all that, you know, but not so happy when in a group of, you know, surrounded by people, how to relate with people. So that is a different quality in what you like, what you do not like. So that you must understand for yourself.
And one last question as we proceed. As an officer, what do you think, you know, how should citizens support you? Like, you are getting support from the government, you have policies and procedures that needs to be implemented. So, and people come and remind you that, you know, आप officer हैं तो आपको ये करना चाहिए. But आपको क्या लगता है कि, you know, as citizens, what should be our role and responsibilities to help the government work smoothly and function in a proper way?
Actually, one thing I'll share with you, the citizens are always very aware. So they know what is going on and what is not correct and what is right. They are very, very aware of it. And I found in my service life, I got a lot of support from the citizens. It is what the support is what you require for them, basically, to help them in, if you're doing a right kind of job. And I got this kind of support from everybody, right from handling law and order to implementing things like literacy or other development programs, or for anything that I took up in the city or in the district or in a department. I found that people will cooperate if they find your intentions are right. And you actually involve them. I think it's the duty of the officer also to be transparent and involve the people. And if you involve the people, listen to them, then they also come forward and give their views. If you keep a distance, then they will not come to you. If you remove that distance and become accessible, then they come to you. So it's the duty of the officer also to come closer to the people and work for them. And then, of course, if he does that, the citizens must also, if he is going in the right direction, they must assist him, must help him, give him that kind of support he needs. And that can be very satisfying, because at the end of the day, I'll share with you that no matter what performance evaluation our superiors do, no matter what promotions or postings we get, at the end of the day, and the retirement after retirement, you know, the biggest satisfaction to me comes from that ordinary citizens, when they have appreciated the kind of work I've done.
And they still come to you.
And they come to me.
And they tell the kind of difference
and they say, you helped me in this thing, or you got this thing done. That gives me the maximum kind of satisfaction.
Very true. You've had a wonderful and an illustrious life, and it was lovely talking to you. We wish you all the best and many more books to see from your pen, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I enjoyed talking with you.
Same.
And I hope people who listen to this also get something out of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.